Right, so hi everyone. Continuing from our last video, then in this one we are going to bind the mesh here. So let me just uncheck that. This mesh needs to be binded to the joints, all of our joints here. And to do that, let's do the most basic thing we can. First, we want to do all this stuff here. So we're gonna select all this mesh. Let me just unhide that. So this and yeah, that's about it. So the whiskers, the nose, as well as the teeth. So with all the easy parts selected, we are make sure you're in rigging, by the way. Go to skin, bind skin. Let's open up the options. Now the first thing we're gonna do, let's just reset everything. Edit, reset settings. So this is what you would see if you were to open bind skin options for the first time. What we want to do with this stuff here, we want to choose bind to selected joints. Alright, okay, there you go. And I forgot to select the joint, and therefore I need to kind of go in here, and we want all of this mesh here to be binded to this guy. So I hold Control Shift and select that joint there. So that explains why I need to bind to selected joints instead of the whole hierarchy. So we're going to choose selected joints, and this should be okay, and click apply. Close that. Okay, let's give it a try. Select the joint and see whether that's working. It's working exactly like how I imagined. Now what about the eyes? The eyes, because we know we've already created joints for the eyes, so we can do the same. We're going to select the eye mesh, that mesh, as well as this joint here, and with that we are going to do the same thing again. I know my settings was correct, so I'll go to skin, bind skin, simply click that, and now we have the eyes influenced by the joint, the eye joint there. So I'll just do the same with this one. Select the mesh, and let's see, select that joint, and I'll recall the last two views, which is not that. I want this skin, bind skin. Right, so let's just give it a try. Yes, this is doing exactly like what we expect it to do. Alright, now once we've done the easy parts, let's just do the hands pull up. So I'm gonna select this mesh, hold F, let's just minimize that so we get a clearer view at this. Alright, so I select the mesh, and that mesh needs to be bounded to all of these joints. So we need to carefully select the joints, and the ones that we want to select in particular are the ones that are labeled bind, B-I-N-D, those things there. So with the mesh selected, I'm going to start to select the more of these joints, so not the wrist. So I gotta be careful when I'm selecting this. Where is it? There it is. I want to select the hand, so let me just select the mesh. I want the hand. I want this one here, the thumb, and that one there, which is thumb B and thumb C. I want this guy. I want this guy as well. I want this guy. I want this guy. I want that guy too. All the while I'm holding Control Shift so that I am selecting the right joints. This looks okay, and I will proceed to do the same thing again, but this time we want to change our settings. So we go to skin, bind skin, go to the options box, and we need to set the weight distribution so it doesn't it won't be controlled by the distance of, each of these points will be weighted not by the distance of it to the joints, but by its neighbors. So if there was a neighboring joint, that will kind of be you have a fall off between the two joints in terms of its influence on that particular vertex. And then we want to increase the drop off rate to a higher value, and so it has a nice fall off. I'll just increase it to 10 there. I'll say the maximum influences would be 3, so 3 joints would influence 1 point. So and we want to make sure that maintain max influences is checked off, so that if it's maximum is 3, and we if we decide to add more influence to a particular part of the mesh, we are able to do so if we uncheck maintain max influences. Alright, this should be okay, and I will say bind skin. Simply click bind skin, and let's just give it a try. See now, is that doing? Yep, it's doing exactly what I want. So whenever you bind, you need to give it a try, see whether it's doing what you intend it to do. So you can very quickly do that by selecting a couple of joints here and see whether it's giving you the right deformation that you're looking after, because that's the parent of that. Of course, it will move properly. Same thing with this, and I think we are good in terms of our hand here. Sweet. Right. Right. Whenever you say you do something wrong and you find that it's not deforming the way you want it, you can always go to skin and select unbind skin to detach whatever skinning that you did earlier. So if I do that now, this will not actually drive the mesh anymore. So that's a proper way of unbinding the mesh to the from the joints. So I'll undo that because I actually like what we had earlier, which was this. And now let's move on to the next part, and we are going to do that mesh there, right? Alright, the next part is to, because eventually this guy will actually drive that as well, but we want to have this joint actually influence those parts of the mesh. Let me just show you those parts. Hold on, vertex. See the vertex that I'm selecting? Basically, those vertices need to be driven by this joint here, this forearm joint. So we can do that very quickly as well. I'm going to select that hand mesh, and with that we will select the forearm joint. Now, because this hand mesh has been influenced by the joints that we specified earlier, all the small joints here, so we need to tell Maya that instead of bind skin, we want to edit the influence of that mesh, and therefore we want to add influence. Means that we're adding more joints that will influence that mesh. So I'm gonna go to the options, so skin, edit influences, add influence options. Right, the settings that we want to let's just kind of reset everything back to normal, and I'll say use geo should be checked off, and we want to use weight locks. So weight locking should be checked on. This one can be I mean, for a start, when we add the influence, we will just say lock weights. Later on we can go into the component editor and unlock that specific joint later on. So I'll say this is okay and say add. Alright, cool. Now if you right, so next in our list is this part here, which is the foot. Alright, quite simply we can select the mesh, select that joint, select this joint, and say we're gonna go to bind skin. The options should be okay, and I will say bind skin. and let's see whether that's giving us the kind of deformations we want. Yep, exactly. This is doing a great job as it is. Let's do the same for this guy. Select that joint, select this joint, select that guy. Skin, bind skin. Let's just select two joints and do this instead. Sweet. Right. Do the same for this guy now. Select that mesh. And let's just carefully select our joints. B, C. Sweet. And that guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this, and I will carefully select my hand, just that one. Cool. I think I got it all. And I'll say skin, bind skin. Let's give it a try. Sweet. Oh, we're having issues there. That's okay, we'll fix that in a bit. Alright, it's not too nice. That's okay, we can paint it later. I wonder if it's doing the same thing here. Oh yeah, it's doing the same thing. So we need to kind of fix that later on when we're painting the skin weights, right? So this is all good. Funny that this thing isn't showing up. I wonder why. Let's just unbind. Let's see whether that actually works. So I will select the mesh. Carefully select that. This one too. This guy here. This guy. This joint. That joint. And finally that one small joint there. Skin, bind skin. Must be a bug, because well, this is actually doing what we want. It's just it's not. No, we don't see the color variation here that shows that his joints has been is actually influencing the mesh, so that's fine. It must be a bug, pretty sure. Right, let's just add some influence to this guy. So we go to skin, edit influence, add influence. Right, that should be good. Now next we are going to do this part here, the big body part. And with this mesh selected, we are going to start to select the joints that will actually drive this mesh. So I'll say that joint, the thigh. So let's select both thighs, the shin, both shins. Of course, that guy there, the pelvis. So let me see, where is it? It's that one there, pelvis. Of course, we want the root, and that is my root. And we want the back part, back. So whenever you select, make sure you check inside channel box, see whether you're selecting the right one. Chest joint, two neck joints, one. Oh man. This one. I hope I did not unselect it. Well, you can do it again. No sweat. Let's just do it again. Just look here instead, but that's okay. I'll say this one. That guy. This guy. Two necks, and of course the head joint. And what else? Oh, bit of the tail root. Of course this joint, that joint, this joint, and that joint. And a bit of the hand will actually influence it. So let me just carefully select that. No. That guy, the hand. I think I got all. I hope I do have all. Have I? Oh yeah, I forgot to set the body, obviously. Okay, let's do the skin bind thing again. And okay, wish me luck. Let's see if this is working exactly how it should be working. Ta-da! Right, it's doing a great job as it is. Now our next job is to of course do the tail, and we can do that very quickly since we know the concept is to select, select joints. Not that one, that's the end joint. So select the mesh, skin, bind skin, and let's see if that's doing a great job. It is doing a great job. Or rather, pose it like that and do that instead. Sweet. Right, and there you have it. We finally weighted our character. So give it a try. But of course, this will actually would be different depending on how you rig your character. So, but nevertheless, if you understand the concepts, it should be okay. But we're getting funny stuff here. If you notice, like, things are looking crooked and whatnot, and that has a lot to do with how we actually paint the skin weights, which we'll learn in the next part, in the next video. Right? So, but for now, it's giving you kind of a nice thing as it is. A lot of the parts seem to be working kind of okay. It's just a matter of fine-tuning this and making it look much more perfect. Right, so I'll see you in the next video. By the way, that was the root. Shouldn't have rotated that. This, maybe yes. Right, see you in the next video.